Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 41 of the J Situation podcast. I'm recording this on December 1st, 2020. Well, I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I certainly did. We did some hunting, ate some good food. Man, I just ate like a huge thing of leftovers like right before I sat down to record this. So if I get a little drowsy, that's because I'm fat. No, I'm trying not to be fat. It's hard, but yeah, the food. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, this time of year is just it's where it's at. It was a good getaway, a little bit of a recharge. It was not the end all be all recharge, but a recharge nonetheless. So it was good. I really like Thanksgiving mini vacations. They seem to help in the home stretch of the year. You know what I'm saying? Definitely going to be taking some major time off at the end of the year. But Thanksgiving holiday was really needed. It's kind of a primer. I'm telling you what, man, hunting was so incredibly fun. I love it. Definitely one of my favorite things to do. But for now, back to the real world and back to the podcast. And this podcast, the J Situation podcast, as always, is brought to you by Pew Science. Pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the Suppression Rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing-safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. The Suppression Rating is in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. The standard walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but super cool because it's about guns. There are 6 parts, and they're all on pewscience.com for you to read, of course. If you haven't dug into it, totally fine. You don't even have to. You can skip to Section 5, check out the Suppression Rating, check out what it means. It lets you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear in every test. And it does give you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which each silencer is tested. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world. Trust me, I wouldn't be doing this if you could. And the 6th and final section of the standard contains all the reviews. There's a bunch of them for you to look at. Go check them out at pewscience.com. If you are a manufacturer, I know you're listening, and you would like to use Pew Science for private testing and consulting services, don't be shy. There is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Your contact information and all test data that we produce as part of any efforts like that will be held in strict confidence, unless, of course, you would like to release it to the public, which, Pew Science can certainly help you do that. And I think you folks that have been listening to the podcast have seen kind of how that works so far. Pew Science has we actually have released private test data to the public. It was for CGS Group. They are the manufacturer of some of the most innovative silencers right now. You've seen those reviews recently from their silencers on the website there. That's an example of a company that chose to test with Pew Science privately and then release the data to the public. So that's kind of how that works. Pretty simple stuff. Now you can support this podcast and Pew Science and even our testing by joining at pewscience.com. You can do that as a consumer or a manufacturer or distributor or just a guy, anyone. You don't even have to read the reviews. You want to help out a little bit, give for the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks a month. Hey, you could help us test. You could help us keep this going. I'll tell you what, it would mean a lot. But if you can't, that's fine too. No pressure. What you can do, you can give us a good rating on the podcast providers and stuff like that. Wherever you happen to listen, we're on iTunes. We're on Spotify too. Joe Rogan's on Spotify now. I tried, it's funny. I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to his podcast. I paused it. I was listening to the latest episode with Tom Green. Remember Tom Green? Funny guy. Well, he was interviewing Tom Green. I had paused it because it was like a 4.5 hour long podcast. And I went to unpause it when I had lunch today. I, kind of took a break from work for lunch. I'm making a sandwich. I go and I hit unpause in my little podcast app. It wouldn't unpause. Turns out this is December 1st. That's when Joe Rogan went to Spotify exclusively. I was like, oh man, totally did. So I used the Spotify app. I was like, well, okay. So I'm using that now. But, the J Situation podcast is also on Spotify. I put it on Spotify. I put it on Google Play, which might be defunct. I put it on Google Podcasts, iTunes, Amazon, Tune In, I think is another one. Also, if you're like super scared of everyone tracking what you're doing, which, hey, I can't blame you. You listen to this on like a whatever app using the direct RSS feed link I gave you on the website there on the pewscience.com/podcast. There's links there. And let's say you live on the top of a mountain and you're like, Jay, I don't trust the frequencies at which cellular communication is broadcast, and I feel like I might be, the government might be implanting a tracking device on my head, and I need to avoid that. I say, okay, first of all, I'm not going to confirm or deny that issue. Second of all, roger that. All you got to do is you download an MP3 when you're at the public library. You put it on a USB stick, and you go on your way, my friend. You go on your way. All right? Whatever you need to do, you can take that MP3. You can play it without a data connection later. Okay? And that's why every podcast that I produce here, when I upload it to pewscience.com, it is available through the RSS feed and all these podcast apps, but you can also download an MP3 and do with it what you will. It is for you. So that's for you. Live on top of a mountain and, God forbid, use AKs. Okay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just like the AR platform, okay? Okay. I got five topics. I got 5 topics for you today. First topic. Where do we go from here? Well, that's a continuation from the previous episode. I have some thoughts. Second topic. Hunting whitetail from a ground blind with a silencer? Could this be a suppression rating case study in the field? Well, yes, it could be, and it is. We'll talk about that. Topic 3, the back pressure hypothesis. Some continued research and some cautions I would like to give you today. Topic 4, new sound signature review this week. Possibly, maybe, kind of, hopefully. Yeah. And topic 5, welcome to new Pew Science members as always. Thank you for your support. Okay, let's get right into this here. Let's see, we're at 8 minutes and 36 seconds. Yeah. That is for topic 1. Where do we go from here? Okay, well, by now, most, if not all of you, have had a chance to sit down and review the latest results from the Surefire SOCOM 762 RC2 tests on pewscience.com. That's going to be, I'm on the website, review 626. Okay, so in that review, you learned about the war comp mount. We talked about this last episode. You learned about labyrinth seal mounts. And you learned which to use and why. Why would you want to use a war comp and why a different mount from Surefire? You also have had a chance to review the CGS Hyperion test, the CGS Hyperion K test, and you saw how different implementations of internal silencer technologies can drastically alter performance parameters in the silencer sound standard with regard to suppression rating and postulated back pressure performance. as well as some other things. Excuse me, man. I'm telling you what, this Thanksgiving food. Now, there is a lot of data to review. I acknowledge that. I think a lot of folks have reviewed it because the feedback has been really great, and that is encouraging. Remember, feedback is always appreciated, and the most efficient way to solicit feedback is by commenting on the reviews or sending an email to tech@pewscience.com. You will get a response. I promise you. I promise. So, after these reviews, a lot of you found yourselves in a bit of disarray. Okay, some of you were vocal about that. Some of you weren't, but I could tell. Down is up is down. Cats and dogs living together under one roof. What in tarnation? Now, did the CGS stuff come out of nowhere to you? Was the Surefire stuff a surprise because people said it was terrible before? Well, what about Silencer Co? What about Q? What about OSS? What about all these companies? How do they fit in to this landscape now? What about subsonic performance? What about 5.56 performance? So many things to investigate, to test, to learn about. And like I said last time, we're going to keep testing silencers. Okay? Of course, that's what we do. I told you last time that I had some more thoughts on future reviews and on data presentation to give you. Okay. I also said that there is a lot of data in the pipeline. Right now, I want to urge you to have some patience. And to those members who are listening, Pew Science members, thank you for your support. Again, as always, I think you are now seeing why your contributions are so valuable. The amount of variables and data and analysis, all of that is required to do this. All of it, or rather should I say, all of that is required to do this all justice is monumental, I think. So every little bit does help, and that's why I say that. Now, there will be more information summarized as we move on, and and I'm planning on doing that at pewscience.com in the future to help you folks navigate the results more easily. Right now, that has taken a backseat to direct research, analysis, and review publication. But I hope to catch up with the administrative housekeeping stuff too. It just, it's I've been busy with this. It's just, there's a lot, and that's okay. It just we had kind of had to take a detour to shotgun you 3 reviews in a short time frame, and because of the complexity of the analyses, it was intense. Particularly those 3 reviews, the Surefire review plus the 2 CGS, basically groundbreaking research studies, if you ask me. I mean, every one of these reviews is very detailed, and we're showing stuff no one's ever seen before, not even the manufacturers. So it took a lot. And so anyway, the housekeeping stuff, I have a little more time for the housekeeping stuff now, which is good. And speaking of that, Pew Science is now a Type 7 federal firearm license holder, so we are a licensed firearm manufacturer now, and so we can receive firearms for testing. We can manufacture firearms for testing, and then we'll be doing the next administrative housekeeping item is the becoming the special occupational tax payer. We're going for the full infringement bingo card, guys. We're going full infringement. Yeah. Gonna go ahead and pay more money to the government. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And then we'll be a go for getting silencers from your Uncle Bob, or manufacturers or whomever to test. Now, you Form 1 folks, I did mention that previously. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. And that infrastructure is not set up yet, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for that in 2021. And definitely want to serve your community in the best way I know how, and in the most efficient way that we can do that. I think that's an important goal. I don't know quite how we're going to do it yet, but there are some ideas. Now, regarding data publication, there is so much data that I would like to give you. Right now, I think I might want to push a little into subsonic territory. I feel like supersonic is so important. It's so important. And actually, I'm going to talk about supersonic performance on this podcast, but I don't want us to lose sight of the subsonic realm. So the subsonic realm is, for all silencer enthusiasts, special. From the moment you pick up your first silencer, your quest to find that quiet ammunition started. I promise you. And if it didn't, well, it has now, after I said that. So I want to push a little bit into the subsonic territory. We haven't addressed a lot of that lately, so we can do that. And I also kind of want to highlight some things that are worth mentioning in the subsonic territory. So I think we need to publish some more data so we can speak intelligently about that as a community. And then I also want to delve into 5.56, but there's a reason why that is dangerous, I think, right now. Hear me out. We're going to talk about that more in topic 3. Topic 3, let's see. Yeah. The back pressure talk I have listed here. Yeah, I'm going to talk more about that. I want to be careful. With that. Another thing we need to really talk about, or at least address, is perimeter scaling, adaptability, and in particular, I'm referencing those two factors in regard to the suppression rating and the back pressure hypothesis. And again, those are actually the subjects of the next 2 topics today. So we're going to talk about that stuff right now. I'm just kind of trying to brainstorm and tell you kind of what we need to move into and talk about. Now, I can't tell you how many of you have reached out to me lately saying that Pew Science data has helped you with the purchase of a new silencer, or your first silencer, or understanding performance of your existing silencers. It's very encouraging. It's very encouraging for the effort. As all you members know, because I do tell all of you in the email I send you when you join, this effort is only as strong as the people who benefit from it. I do believe that. So I can tell you personally that I'm benefiting from the data myself. Remember, guys, I use guns too, like this past holiday. So let me tell you a story. Let's move into topic 2. And we're going to do that at a time of 18 minutes and 37 seconds. Yeah. Okay. Topic 2, hunting whitetail from a ground blind with a silencer? Suppression rating case study? Yes. Yes, in fact. Gather around the campfire. Okay. How many times have you fired your suppressed rifle in a position other than standing 1.6 meters above the ground away from all reflecting surfaces? Oh, you mean like that's the only time you've shot it when you're not like that? Yeah. Okay, me too. I swear. Other than testing silencers, when I shoot a rifle, unless I'm in an elevated blind that's like open, I'm near a reflecting surface. I mean, sometimes. That's not true. Like if I'm on a shooting stick standing in a field, I might not be exactly 1.6 meters above the ground, but I'm close, so it's pretty comparable. Now, but I do want to highlight shooting position and surroundings. because I want to make sure folks understand the silencer sound standard and the way the results translate to real world use. Okay? There's a phenomenon in wave propagation called reflection. Reflection occurs when a wave impacts a surface and is reflected back toward the source. And during this reflection process, there are a few things that occur. And depending on the speed of the wave and the shape of the wave, the resulting amplitude and wave shape that come back toward the source can be a lot different than it was prior to the reflection. Okay, it can be so different, in fact, that it can be magnified heavily. And it can actually induce completely different effects on systems or objects that receive the reflection. Okay, there are a lot of different technical terms, and there's different nomenclature and terminology one uses when discussing this. Some of the key vocabulary you might find in the literature are things like angle of incidence, reflection factor, things like that. You can learn. This is a developed science. This is a mature science. This is not Jay just running his mouth about postulation. This is proven theory that we've tested and validated over decades. So wave propagation is well understood. Now, but let's talk about a practical example so you can wrap your head around it. So a practical example of this is shooting your rifle close to the ground, or close to a wall, or under a roof covering, for example. In all cases, there are reflecting surfaces that influence what you, the shooter, are subjected to during the gunshot. Okay? A gunshot event has a duration, a time duration. Okay? It is a very fast event, but the entire event, start to finish, can actually take quite a long time when reflections are involved. Okay? So let's get really practical here. Take the rugged Radiant. You're familiar with the rugged Radiant, right? The silencer from Rugged. Let's see if I can go on the website here so I can pull up some information on it that I wrote many moons ago. Let's see how. June 11th, sound signature review 612. Okay, June. Oh God, it's a long time ago. Okay, yeah. So take the rugged Radiant, fired on a 20-inch bolt-action 308. Okay. The suppression rating overall for that combination was with supersonic 308 ammo from a 20-inch bolt-action. The suppression rating that Pew Science computed for that combination is 32.9 overall at the ear. In the long configuration. Let's not get carried away and look at the short. We're talking about the full configuration. We're talking about a silencer here. The long configuration at the ear, 32.5. Okay, so 32.9 overall, 32.5 at the ear. And the rugged Radiant, review 612. Okay, so that rating is above 30. Okay? You go to the suppression rating chart, you're at 32.5 at the ear. You go to your suppression rating chart, you click on the chart here. It tells you, well, what does that mean? Well, it says, well, the 0 to 30 category there, under 30, it's like, well, limited hunting engagement. Okay. So 32.5, well, you're above the 30 line. You're getting into the minimal suppression zone where you might even be able to shoot a whole mag or group. You can kind of do some more practice with it. You're like, okay. So you get a little more comfortable, right? When you get a 32.5, you're like, okay, well, that's still kind of loud, but it's not like deafening loud. Okay. Well, I own a Radiant. Okay, I have one. I probably bought. I don't want to say I bought the first Radiant as a consumer, but I bought one of the first ones. I promise, because I got to pick my serial number when I did it. This past holiday, I took my new Q Fix rifle, chambered in .308, with a 16-inch barrel, with my rugged Radiant, sighted in on, I sighted in the gun, and I used it to hunt whitetail deer. One of my absolute favorite pastimes that I am extremely passionate about. During one of my hunts, it was actually my fiance and I. I love her so much. We hunt together. She's the best. We were using a ground blind. It was actually a pop-up blind. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these. Sometimes archery hunters use them. Sometimes rifle hunters use them. Sometimes you just use them to sit and watch animals without disturbing the animals. You don't have to kill anything when you're in a blind. A blind is just, for those of you who aren't hunters, a blind is a method of camouflage. It's a physical object you use to blend in with your area, your area of operations, so that your prey or other things you're observing cannot detect your presence. A lot of prey animals that we call game animals, because of the sporting nature of hunting them and the conservation nature of hunting them, a lot of those animals can detect movement very well. You never seen that movie Jurassic Park where the dude, like the T-Rex, and they postulate that the T-Rex couldn't see them if they didn't move? Yeah, deer are like that. Deer have, I think it's trichromatic vision, so they can see these limited colors, but what they're really, really, really good at, is not getting eaten. And the way you don't get eaten as a prey animal is you have heightened senses and you can run fast. And you communicate well with your herd. And so that's what whitetail deer do. And in South Texas, whitetail deer are particularly difficult to hunt because unlike whitetail deer in the northern states, whitetail deer in the southern states have a constant threat of death from a crazy amount of predators. I'm not saying there aren't predators in the north, so relax. I'm just saying South Texas is crazy, and they're super skittish. And it's a hard knock life out there in the pseudo desert regions for whitetail deer. Okay, so if I haven't gotten completely off track, I just wanted to paint you a picture and tell you why you need to use a blind sometimes. You don't have to, but sometimes. So we're in our, and the reason I'm explaining this in such detail is because I want you to understand that the situation in which I was using this weapon system, the small arm suppressed weapon system, the purpose of Pew Science evaluation. The reason I'm using that in that situation is because this is a common situation that not only I frequently encounter, but many of you encounter, and many folks across the whole United States encounter. Okay, so this is not a specialized use case for which you don't need to worry about. This is something that is very common. Okay, with that being said, we were in the ground blind. And I don't even know the dimensions. Let's say, so it's one of those things where it's like a pop-up tent, right? So it's fabric. It has no floor. Okay, so the floor is dirt and grass. And then if you're sitting next to it, if you picture you're sitting on a little hunting folding chair, like one of those little tiny portable folding chairs, like you're both sitting on those. If you're sitting next to a person, like two grown adults, the walls of the blind kind of poke out a little bit, so they give you some more elbow room, but it's really not that big. Okay? You can picture that. So that's basically big enough for two people. Okay. So I'm sitting in there on the chair. And we're scouting, we're using visible optics, we're using I like to use my little 10x42 binoculars for visible glassing, as Steve Ranella would say, just glassing. And I like to use the thermal optic, handheld thermal, to also scout. We're just sitting there enjoying ourselves, enjoying nature, enjoying the hunt. And I imagine that. Okay, so I'm sitting under a ground blind. I'm really enjoying everything. Calm, serene, quiet. I have these things called the Primos trigger sticks. Primos Gen 3 trigger sticks. I don't know if you guys seen what these are, but essentially what it is, it's a very lightweight plastic tripod thingy with a little V-rest. It's rubberized. And you pull the trigger on this thing, and the three legs kind of deploy, and it's very quickly adjustable. You can use it standing, you can use it seated, you can even cant out the legs and use it like sitting on the ground, or even like maybe not laying prone, but pretty much sitting with your butt on the ground. It's a very flexible system. It's cheap, and frankly, I've used it for night hunting and day hunting, for like portable applications, and even spot and stock hunting for a very long time. It really gives you a really great shooting position if you don't want to have to shoot free-handed, or you need to make longer distance shots and you can't lay prone, and you don't have anywhere to sit. You know what I mean? It's like really great. So I'm using those. I'm sitting on my little hunting chair. I have my rifle kind of ready, and I'm going to use the trigger sticks. Okay. So I'm looking, and I see, okay, I'm looking, and there's a lot of stuff in the area, and I see some wild hogs come out. I say, oh man, this was actually quite a bit into the hunt. I had already seen several deer. We had kind of watched some bucks and some does for a while, and I was like, okay. I was like, that's not the deer I'm looking for right now. It's one of the first times I've gotten out during the season. I'm not really ready to shoot anything yet. I am looking for meat at this point. The temperature was dropping, but it wasn't that cold, so I really wasn't interested in really harvesting meat that night, because I knew if I did, I was going to have to really take care of it very quickly to get the meat. Basically, I was going to have to field dress the deer and hike that meat back to camp super quick, so then I could like take it into town and put it in the to the processor there, because I want to get my meat to the processor as soon as I can. I could have quartered it too, but I didn't think we even had enough ice. It was just one of those things. It was like, man, if I do this, I'm gonna have to get it. I'm just gonna have to take the meat out pretty quick. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to shoot these deer, but then these hogs came out, right? And I was like, dang, man, dang. So these hogs came out, and I don't know if you know anything about wild hogs, but they suck. They suck. They're a non-native species to Texas, and we don't want them here. They root up everything. They eat the animal feed, no matter what animals you're raising, no matter what kind of livestock. They're just terrible. I don't like them, and they're overpopulated. You can't kill them enough. So I placed my rifle on the shooting sticks with a rugged radiant. I aimed at the biggest hog, which happened to be a fat sow. And I shot her right behind her left shoulder, but lower than I would have shot a deer, because the hogs have lower vital organs. You got to keep that in mind. And, just a little anatomy lesson for you. Anyway, it was a very good shot. The round pierced the lungs and the heart, and it shattered the opposite shoulder of the hog. Her shoulder basically blew up, and it in doing that, it shocked the hog enough that it lost consciousness, and then it started to bleed out, as it tends to do. But then a little bit after that, which tends to happen, it came to, right? And then it starts doing the stinky leg, where it like kind of, they take their rear legs and they try to run out of instinct, but they're like on the ground with like a hole in their heart and lungs, with no front shoulder. And so it's like just doing this weird breakdancing, essentially. And then it died. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically the order of operation. Unless you shoot the hog in the brain and hit a central nervous system, that's basically the order of operations when you get a good shot on a hog. You kill them, or you knock them out, they fall down, they do the stanky leg, and they die. Supersonic 308 is a very, very, very good round to kill things with. Okay, it's not the only round, but it is a good one, and that's why I use it. Frankly, I've used it for a long time. Now, the report of the shot that I fired was very loud. It was loud because it's supersonic 308, but the silencer did work well enough for me to clearly hear the bullet impact in the hog. It was very pleasing. I really like the sound. It's very pleasing. It's kind of a thump, thump and a crack because it broke the bone there. Now I think the distance was around maybe 40 to 50 yards. Pretty close. I wasn't very far. Now the up close and personal ground blind position, like that's one of my favorites. Like see how close you can get and then set up your ground blind and camouflage it, and then like see if you can just hang out with the animals and almost like smell them, and like where you can look at them and you don't even have to use binoculars. Like that's my idea of a good time. So shortly after that shot, I thought about my ears, and I noticed an ever so slight discomfort in my right ear. A little bit like my ear was clogged up. Okay? Just a little bit. And there's no ringing in it necessarily, but there was just, it didn't ring. It was just a slight discomfort. And I did find that interesting. I immediately thought about it. And so I then started thinking, okay, what's going on? Let's look at these variables now. So I thought about it. I thought, okay, 16-inch barrel versus 20-inch barrel. Okay. My rifle has a barrel, this fix, that I like. It's a really lightweight rifle. And it turns out you don't need a 20-inch barrel for the velocity in the distances that I shoot in South Texas. That's why I got that fix, because I was like, man, I want a light rifle. It's pretty cool. Plus, I just need a 16-inch barrel. It's fine. And that way it's not an SBR, and it's easy. So it's 4 inches shorter than the Pew Science 308 test host. My old hunting rifle is that Savage, the 20-inch Savage Model 10. That's the Pew Science test host for 308. That's that 20-inch. So my new hunting rifle is 16 inches, same chambering, different barrel length. I don't know what the sound signature difference is between the two lengths when suppressed by the radiant, but I would venture to say that the fix is louder due to the shorter barrel. Okay? That's just probably true due to physics. Okay? Second thing I thought about, another variable, distance to above the ground. Now, silencer sound standard testing is 1.6 meters above the ground. That's a lot different than 0.9 meters, which is 3 feet or something like that. You know what I mean? However high I was sitting in the seat. Okay. Or even less than that. It might have been less. I'm not sure how high I was. Short distance to ground results in more intense reflections back to the source and to the shooter. Okay. I promise you that. Another thing I thought about was the ground blind. It's weird, right? Because my silencer was outside the tent or outside the pop-up blind when I shot, and that muzzle blast comes out of the silencer, suppressed, but still comes out of the silencer, and then expands spherically in three-dimensional space, and then starts coming back toward me, the shooter. Some of it, well, for one, there's mesh in the ground blind, so it's passing right through that. But then it is going to pass through the ground blind material as well when it starts to reflect on the inside of the blind. It's going to pass through those membranes, but it's also going to have a little bit of reflection too. You feel me? So there is a little bit of reverberation that's happening very quickly, and to my right ear, because I was sitting on the right too, which was another reason. My fiance was sitting to my left, and so I'm sitting on the right. So my right ear is right next to that right wall of the ground blind. So that's another surface. Now it's not a solid surface. Wave propagation through and reflecting from fabric is actually something that you can model with arbitrary Eulerian Lagrangian finite element analysis that it's just a fluid structural interaction problem. We know how to analyze that. But what I'm saying is that there's probably an influence there. So let's talk about the difference. So the shorter barrel results in higher muzzle pressure. Okay, end of story. It also places the silencer end cap closer to the shooter's ear. How much closer? Well, 4 inches. If the barrel's 4 inches shorter and you're using the same silencer, then the muzzle and the silencer end cap's 4 inches closer to your ear, right? Right. Okay. So the sound is so there's more muzzle blast coming out of the gun that has to go into the silencer, and then when it goes through the silencer, it's closer to your ear. Okay, so those are two things that are happening just from the shorter barrel. Okay. So then couple that with the distance above the ground, couple that with the ground blind. Well, I tell you what, I don't know what the suppression rating was for my use case that day, but it was not the rating shown in the Rugged Radiant Sound Signature review, that's for sure. Definitely wasn't a 32.5 at the ear. Promise you that. I promise you that. It was definitely not. It was lower. It was definitely lower. It had to be, right? And for all of the reasons I just said, it had to be a lower suppression rating. I don't know what it was. Like I said, I can't judge a suppression rating just from my naked ear. No, I mean, there are people that say they can now. Shout out to all you Pew Science crazy people, all you the Pew Science army, the Pew Science members that try to predict the ratings. You guys are actually pretty good, but I can't predict it myself because I've been bamboozled sometimes. I can't predict it ahead of time. You know, to me, this sounded louder than a 32.5 at the ear for sure, man. And I know it was. So yeah. So unless I test this exact configuration, which I probably won't because I don't have time, I'm not going to know exactly what that rating was. I'm not going to know what sound does. No, I should say my ear's fine now. It was fine. I think that evening it was fine. So it wasn't a huge thing, but it was discomfort and it did bother me. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. You only get one set of ears. And so I give you guys this example because I want you to understand that the suppression rating is a guide. Okay? It's a guide. It is definitely something that you need to think about if you are shopping for a silencer and you aren't going to wear hearing protection and you are going to be using that silencer close to a reflecting surface on a weapon with a barrel length shorter than what's shown on pewscience.com, you might want to get a silencer with a buffer. What do I mean by that? In other words, maybe you need a quieter silencer than you thought. Okay? I hope this makes sense. Like, I'm actually like, it's kind of bittersweet, right? Like I didn't want to hurt my ear, which I didn't hurt it badly, but I kind of did hurt it a little bit, obviously. But also like I was kind of super excited I got to talk to you about it because like, oh man, I get to tell people exactly how I use the suppression rating and what it means. I was actually pretty psyched about this. So like this case for me, this case makes me want to use a different silencer on my supersonic 308 fixed rifle for hunting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to worry about messing up my ears with one shot on a hog or a deer. Come on. What? Like, a really good solution for this, in my opinion, and I've done it before, would be to put an earplug in my right ear right before shooting that one shot, right? Like, you may be thinking, well, Jay, if you had the proper PPE, then you... I was like, I know. Okay, I know, but also I want to have no hearing protection on when I hunt because I want to experience nature and stuff. I don't know. Look, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not your doctor, and I know a lot of you are probably cringing because you're like, dude, you should totally wear hearing protection. Like, I know, but it's like one shot with a bolt action. Like, I wasn't planning on taking another shot. Like, I just wanted to take that one shot. I don't know. I didn't want to wear ears. I know it's not the most responsible thing I did. Okay, I messed up. I own that. I made a mistake. But hey, I actually thought I was going to be okay. I didn't think about being so close to the ground, and also didn't think about the shorter barrel as much. I mean, I thought about it, but I didn't like think about it. Like, I had a lot of other stuff going on, and so like I didn't like give it a super lot of thought. I knew it was gonna be louder. I didn't think it was gonna be that much louder. Anyway, so I needed a different silencer for my gun. The hearing protection thing, that's definitely a solution. And I had my hearing protection with me. I had the little Surefire earplugs. I could put one of those in there. That's a good solution, smart solution I've used in the past. I could also use a quieter silencer. I've been thinking about what silencer to buy for myself. What would I do for hunting? A 308 bolt action with my 16-inch fix. You know, because like, what if I have to shoot in a similar position? What if I have to be closer to the ground? Like, what if I have to be in the ground blind? Do I want a silencer with a rating close to the Radiant on a 20-inch 308 for my 16-inch fix? Or do I want to get one in a different class to have that buffer of suppression rating? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, guys. I think I might have to go Hyperion K or something like that. Minimum. I mean, think about it. Just hear me out. So, and look, this isn't an advertisement. Like, this is me talking about what I'm probably going to do. Like, it's a pretty light silencer, right? Well, let's talk about why. Okay, you know what? Yeah, because I want you to understand. Look, it's a light silencer, and it's pretty small too, so it makes the length footprint small for, you know, I put this gun on my four-wheeler, and like I huff it around in the woods, South Texas, the sharp thorns, the mesquite. It's almost as quiet as the Omega, frankly. Let's pull that up. Let's not talk crazy talk, Jay. Hold up. I'm gonna go scroll to the top of the website since this is a new review. Yeah, 628 Hyperion K, November 18th. November 18th? Oh, damn. I do need to publish a new review. Damn. November 18th? Did I publish it that long ago? I guess it wasn't that long ago. Yeah, last week was Thanksgiving. 37.3. Hyperion K, 37.3. Overall, 37.1 at the ear. Okay, 37.1 at the ear compared with 32.5 at the ear for the Radiant. Okay. So, like, about 5 points different. I mean, that's actually definitely an audible difference. You know, most likely. So that's a big deal. So it's not crazy quieter, but it's definitely quieter than the Radiant. It is definitely quieter than Radiant. Let me make sure. Yeah, and I have it. Okay, I have it here in the graph too, in Figure 7 of the review. At the ear. Wait, 37 point. Yeah, 37.1. Okay, because there's a rounding thing. Okay, yeah, in the chart, 37.05. Yeah, 37.1 versus 32.5. Yeah, so it's quieter than the muzzle too. Yeah, dude. Hyperion K is just quieter than the Radiant. It's smaller. It's lighter. Is it lighter? Should be, right? Yeah, it's lighter and smaller than the Radiant. And it's quieter. Like, it makes. I mean, why am I going to use a Radiant ever again on my 308 bolt action? Probably never going to ever. It has stellite. It has 2 stellite baffles in it. Put that on an AR. You know, it's like the only reason I bought the Radiant was because I knew that the short version of the Surge was acceptable for hunting with that I had. It was like one of my only rifle silencers I had back in the day. I put it on my AR-10. I've told the story before. I bought the Radiant because I was like, well, the Surge had a little bit too high back pressure. I know the Radiant's going to have a little bit lower back pressure theoretically because I looked at the design. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get a Radiant. It's lighter. It's just as durable. I can do whatever I want with it. So I bought a Radiant. I love the mount. There's a lot of reasons why I bought it. Would I buy it today? I don't know. Today? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. But I'm telling you that I'm not going to use it anymore on my freaking fix for hunting because it's too loud. So Hyperion K is one option for me. I tell you guys, I use my own data to determine this. Like I'm not going to go trust someone else's data? That'd be retarded. Are you kidding me? Like what? So then I'm thinking, okay, so the Hyperion K is quieter than the Radiant. What else is it quieter than? It's quieter than the Trash Panda too. Trash Panda at the ear, granted, okay, 32.9. It says 33 at the ear. Okay, yeah. The Hyperion K is still quieter than the Trash Panda. Okay, and it's quieter at the muzzle too. So I wouldn't use the Trash Panda. Look, let's get this one thing straight right now. The Trash Panda and the Radiant and the Sam NS have very similar sound signatures at the ear on a bolt action 308. Okay, those three silencers competing with one another a lot in the market. To get better performance in the size, what you do is you go to an Omega. Okay, you go to Silencer Co. Omega because the Silencer Co. Omega spanks those silencers in sound. I don't know who told you it didn't, but it always has. It's like that meme. Oh, I love that meme so much. It's like you got the astronauts. One's looking at the Earth, and I think the original meme was like the guy was like looking at something in Ohio or something. I don't know. He's looking at the Earth, and he's like he says something like, "The Omega's one of the quietest silencers in its class," and then the guy behind him with the gun says, "It always has been." Yeah, you know why? See, I just did a verbal meme. What a time to be alive. You know why the astronaut man said that? Because it's true. Look, the Omega might have a crappy mount, a stupid superfluous titanium sleeve, and a super tight bore, and higher back pressure. But I tell you what, it's quieter than the dang Radiant and Trash Panda and Sam NS. Tell you that much. So like, if I like could only get an Omega with a direct thread and put it on my fix, yeah, just do that. I mean, with the direct thread, the Omega is going to be actually pretty light. It's going to work pretty well. Like all you people that have Omegas that hunt with it, like the Omega is a pretty dang good silencer. I don't care. Look, it has its problems, but if you want to talk about sound performance, I'm looking at my data right now in figure 7 of the Hyperion K review, and the data at the ear for the Omega is 38, 37.96, 38 suppression rating at the ear. The Hyperion K is 37 at the ear. Okay? I mean, the Surefire, I'm not going to put a Surefire SOCOM 762 RC2 on my fix. That'd be retarded. So, and then, well, there's the Helio. And the reason I'm looking at this chart is because I'm looking at like silencers that are kind of more compact because I want to put a really long thing on my hunting rifle because I'm maneuvering it like in a pop-up blind, for example. So I want it to be kind of short. The Helios, though. Ooh, that Helios, though. That's not even supposed to be put on like that's a freaking 5.56 silencer that you can put on 308, which is crazy. I don't know. The Helios is great. For me, for the lightweight, I'll probably go Hyperion K. You know, do I know if it's gonna not bother my ear when it's that close to the ground? And I don't know for sure. I don't know because I haven't done that test. I've only done the mil standard locations with the Pew Science testing on the 20-inch bolt gun. Frankly, I don't know what's going to happen with the 16-inch bolt gun with the Hyperion K because I don't know if the higher muzzle pressure from the 4-inch shorter barrel is going to actually excuse me, Yeah, I'm telling you, the Thanksgiving leftovers. I don't know if what it might do is it might actually create a gas flow situation in the Hyperion that is not linear, in that it won't scale linearly. Okay, let me. I am not being very clear. I apologize. Okay, let me back up. The rugged Radiant was a certain rating, well, in the 20-inch, right? It was 32.5 at the ear. You tracking? Okay. When I put it on my 16-inch fix, we know that the rating was less than 32.5 because it made my ear bothered. So it couldn't have been a 32.5. Okay, so it's clearly louder. So, okay. And I was closer to the ground. So what I'm saying is the Hyperion K is a 37 in the test. So in this identical use case on the 16-inch fix, it might drop less than what the Radiant dropped. And the reason why I'm guessing that is because of the way that the Hyperion technology works, or the way that I think it works, and the way that I think CGS thinks it works too. And I think no, this is crazy, but I think that the higher the pressure you give the Hyperion, the better. Which is why it's such a phenomenal supersonic technology, supersonic suppression technology. God, I wish I could. You ever mess with something and you want to just take it everywhere with you, and put it, I don't know, I want to set it a place at the dinner table. That's how cool I think the Hyperion technology is. Just want to put it there, put a little bib on it, feed it crawfish or something. I don't know why I thought about that. But look, what I'm saying is the Hyperion K might be super impressive. I'm looking at my data. My data says it's a point louder at the ear, suppression rating point louder at the ear on a 20-inch than the Omega. It's it just might be the perfect hunting silencer. If they can make it a little quieter, which I know they can, because I know, actually, talking to CGS, I know exactly what they could do to do that. Hell, it might be, not only is it probably the one of the perfect 30 caliber hunting silencers right now, I bet you it could even be better. And that's the scary part. And that's the part that, look, I do not want to turn this into a commercial for CGS, because if anyone knows me, you guys know that I am not biased to any company. Just because I know people at companies, just because I do work for companies, does not mean I'm biased toward them. But I will say this: if the industry is listening right now, be afraid, because this Hyperion technology, I don't care if it's in the K or the full size, this is not like your stuff, and it's just better. It's quieter. For supersonic, I don't even know, dude. Seriously, no. But think about it. And I don't want to go too far off in this tangent right now. Actually, how far are we in right now? We're about an hour in. We got time. Look, I don't want to go too far off a track, but look at, dude. How long? Let me scroll up in the review. How long is it? Okay, hold on a second. 6.3 inches in length. Okay, that probably includes the little thread, thread protrusion thing. The mount thread, the little thing taper. Okay, I forgot how much it adds to the length of the gun. Because remember, I'm putting mine on a fix, the Q fix, that badass rifle. I'm putting it on there, so it's fitting over the tapered barrel. So I'm probably only adding 6 inches to this gun. And it weighs 10 ounces, 10.5 ounces, 10.4 ounces, not even. So it's not even there. And it's almost as quiet as the Omega at the ear. Come on. I was thinking about this. I was really thinking about this. Like, I actually told my fiance, I said, you know what I'm going to do? Well, first I told her, actually, after well, I thought about the Hyperion, the full size one, but it's a little long for what I want. You know what I mean? And then keep in mind, I'm talking about supersonic high pressure rounds here. I'm talking about 308 on a 16-inch barrel. I'm talking about high pressure supersonic with a lot of case capacity. There's a lot of impulse into 308. I am dumping high velocity gas for a long time. That is what 308 is. Okay? It's not a 300 Remington Ultra Mag duration. It's not a 30-06 or 270, but I tell you what, it is a lot of case compared to like 5.56. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So, but what's really interesting? The full-size Hyperion isn't even that long. Like with a 16-inch fix, like maybe using the full-size Hyperion is like using a Hyperion K on a 20-inch 308. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, dude. I was like, should I just use a full-size Hyperion and just have the quietest fix you could have? Like the quietest 308 fix in the world is with I can tell you unequivocally it's going to be with the full-size Hyperion. The quietest fixed rifle you can buy and hunt with is the quietest 308 fix is 16. It only comes in 16 inches, and you put a full size Hyperion on it, and it's the quietest 16-inch fix. So like that's the quietest that rifle can be ever. Like the quietest that rifle can be is using that silencer. So I was like, well, maybe I should just do that, and then I know no matter what, it's the quietest thing ever. But then I was like, man, but it's like a hunting rifle, so that's kind of dumb because it's like longer. Why not go as short as possible? So I don't know. I go back and forth. I tell you what, though, the tapered barrel, though, it is the best. It is the best. So, I mean, both of those silencers are going to go direct thread. So miss me with the QD for hunting for a bolt action. Now for quick change between, like, let's say like you want to change it because you're using two different rifles and stuff. I used to do that. I used to do it a lot. I promise. If you go back in the podcast and you listen to like several episodes ago, like the early episodes, I have talked about how I've done that. But I evolve quickly when I learn things, and tapers. Tell you what. Now, if I use the full size Hyperion. Although I did not, like I said, I did not test that one either on 16-inch 308. I just know it's going to be the quietest supersonic silencer for the application. I don't know. Personal dilemma right now, guys. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, Jay, how can you not decide what you want? You're the one with all the data. Dude, I know. I know. Like, it's hard. I'm a consumer just like you. Like, I don't get kickbacks for this, talking about stuff. Like, this is my, like, what, you think, like, the company that I run sponsors the podcast that I do. I'm literally an insane person. This is just me. I'm straight up telling you, like, I'm talking to a microphone right now. Like, oh man, you guys must think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, I still have that personal dilemma. Do I use this silencer or this silencer? I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. Now, I might have to get a Hyperion K and then shoot it from my shooting chair on this gun, measure the waveforms, and then get the suppression rating. And then it's like just for my own edification. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like regardless, whatever I decide, or whatever you folks that are listening decide, whatever anyone decides about this, I feel like I have two options now that are superior to my Radiant. Remember, the Rugged Radiant is a lightweight titanium stellite hybrid silencer that can be used and satisfy the SOCOM firing schedule on a fully automatic weapon. Okay? You can use the Rugged Radiant. It has one of the best, if not the best, QD mounts in the industry. It's durable, it's pretty, and it's light. But the one thing the Radiant doesn't have is exemplary sound performance for my personal standards on a hunting rifle. And because of that, it will now not be used by me on a bolt action ever again, unless it's a longer barrel bolt action and I don't have another silencer available, or if I'm loaning it out to somebody. Because frankly, I told you guys, I've said this many times, I can buy any silencer I want. Why would I not use the best? So, for the application, right? Not saying the rating's not cool, not saying I won't use it on something else, but guess what? It's going to have high flash too because it's titanium. So, like, when you think about it, why do you need it now? I don't know. It sucks, man. It's like one of the silencers you want to love. But then, I don't know. Then other stuff comes out and you're like, Like, even the trash pan is quieter than a Radiant. Like, barely, but it is. Yeah, you know what I mean? Trash pan, So, I don't know. It's like, I mean, trash pan is not as durable as a Radiant. So there's that. But the Radiant's quieter than the Sandman S, and no one even needs the durability of Sandman S anyway. Radiant's probably durable enough for you, so. I don't know. I remember that. We talked about that a while back, right? When I did all those reviews of those mid-size 30 caliber silencers. I look back on that, I'm like, okay, well. We don't need those anymore. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I was like saying, I don't know what I'm going to do with my Radiant. I'm still going to use it. I still like it. Just not for this. Look. Oh, you know what? I bet you I know what I can do with it. Like with an AR308, which I'm probably going to use here, like a right earplug in my right ear, because it's a semi-auto. I'll probably use it on that. You know what? That is a really good application for my Radiant. Put it on my 16-inch AR308. Yes. That is exactly what I will do. I will put it on my 16-inch AR308 for pigs with thermal. Okay. And you know what? It has lower back pressure than the Surge Short. Yeah. Well, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do for now. Because I'll leave, the Hyperion K or the Hyperion on my fix, and then I'll have the rugged Radiant on my my AR308 for now, until like I end up putting a Helios on it probably. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So, one thing I do want to say about the AR308 though, I have hunted with it a lot. Typically have I shot a deer with it? No. I've never shot a whitetail deer with my AR308. Usually it is a hog at nighttime with thermal. And I tell you what, I do tend to put a earplug in my right ear with that because I'm often shooting more than one shot, but I am standing usually with the Primos trigger sticks. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm pretty high above the ground compared to where I was sitting this past week. And so the sound signature is different than the 16-inch fix because, of course, I'm high off the ground. I'm in the free field. I'm usually out in the open. But it is an AR308, and I have it tricked out to be super light. And so, like, the bolt carrier speed is actually kind of high because it doesn't have a lot of mass in the buffer or the carrier. I think I might even use a titanium carrier like a crazy person, which is not a good idea, by the way. Don't do that. So I think it's loud. And so I'm probably going to have some earplug in there if I leave that gun the way it is, the way it's set up. Semi-auto is just a different animal than bolt action. So when you're looking at hunting silencers, don't get it twisted. You need to really be careful. And I haven't released semi-auto 308 data yet, but I will definitely do that. I'm not going to use the hunting gun I have, my AR308 for a test host. That is such a like specialized host I built that will not help you. I'm going to have to build one special for testing, or adapt that one and put a different bolt carrier group in it or something. So I'll give you that data eventually, but you don't need that right now. What you need bolt gun data. Trust me, because you can figure out semi-auto data later in a pinch. No, without the bolt gun data, you're flying blind. So we're going to continue doing that. Okay. I hope this example helped you folks. I did go a little bit long on this topic, but I talked about a lot of stuff, and I kind of wanted to talk through some of my personal decisions on it because I want you to understand. I want you to know. I want you to know what I'm thinking about. Now, the key takeaways. Key takeaways. 1, changing the host and how you use the gun can matter. Okay. 2, I want you guys to set your expectations. The generation, quote unquote, the generation of silencers in the Radiant, Short Surge, Salmon S, Trash Panda, that whole category, all those silencers I just mentioned, they're only so quiet. They're all very similar in sound. You know why? Because they're all competing with each other because they're all trying to take that spot. They're all the same sound signature, pretty much. Like, they sound differently in tone. Overall, the suppression ratings are very close. You can see that on pewscience.com. The suppression rating takes into account tone. So any perceived difference in tone is taken into account in the suppression rating. Okay, it is. Now, to get better suppression in that size, you just need to go to a different technology. You either need to go to a Silencer Co Omega, or you need to go to Hyperion K or Helios QD for that size of silencer. Okay, for those mid-size silencers, you can't really consider the Surefire because, well, you could, yeah, because I guess the Surefire's a little bit long though. The SOCOM 762 RC2 is a little bit long. I think it's longer than the Radiant, longer than the Salmon S. Is that true? I don't know. You guys figure that out for yourself. What I'm trying to tell you is you have to move technologies and suppression classes, and we're out of that now. There's no reason. Unless you have a different application for those silencers, for which there are many applications, but particularly with the silencer like the Trash Panda, which can excel on subsonic. Don't get it twisted. You're going to need to explore for supersonics performance. You're just going to need to explore other options if you need something quieter. End of story. Everyone has their own ear comfort threshold, but you're all humans. So I can assure you, even if the shot isn't uncomfortable, it can still be doing damage to your hearing. Okay. It's dose dependent, of course. We know this, but take care of your ears. Okay, guys? All right. That's topic. I'm going to go to topic 3 here, but let me see. Okay, we're 1 hour, 12 minutes, 32 seconds. Yeah, okay. All right, topic 3. The back pressure hypothesis. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, continued research. And some cautions. Get some drink of water here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the back pressure hypothesis really quickly. In past podcasts, I have said that the relative metric I've been showing you for supersonic flow rate on 30 caliber silencers has been scaling with actual results. And that is true. That is true. It is scaling. It is in fact scaling with real results in the field. But something to keep in mind is something that I've tried to highlight in the reviews, but some of you may not be understanding it. And that is my fault because, of course it's my fault because I write all this stuff. So if you're not understanding something, chances are it's because I have not explained it correctly. I don't blame you for being confused. I never blame you. It's usually my fault because this stuff is not simple. The back pressure metric is preliminary, like I say, and there is definitely a minimum threshold that you need for a given 5.56 by 45 millimeter host weapon for adequate function with the 30 silencers shown so far. Okay, so in plain English, what does that mean? I mean that I've said that in the reviews. I've said this in the reviews. Let me say it very simply. Look, it means that your 5.56 host may not care a lot about a 30 caliber silencer with a high back pressure metric. It may not care. Okay? I don't mean to be harsh here, but look, your gun just might not be that special. Okay? Remember, All of these are 30 caliber silencers. These are not silencers with small 5.56 bores, guys. Okay? Now, some 5.56 host weapons are more sensitive than others. Okay? We know this. Some do not care at all. You know, for that matter, some semi-auto 30 caliber weapons are more sensitive than others too. Okay, here's an example. A very, very recent example. I was speaking with a manufacturer this week who fired their silencers on a full auto Mark 18. Daniel Defense, 10.3 inch 5.56 with a gas port with a diameter of 0.07 of an inch, 0.07 inches, okay? With an unknown buffer weight. I talked to this manufacturer recently. They said they also fired a competitor silencer side by side. And then they did a rudimentary measurement of the rate of fire. Okay? The rate of fire with their silencer, which has a much higher back pressure metric than the competitor silencer, was only a little bit higher than the competitor silencer's rate of fire. Okay? What does that mean? Well, for one thing, it does mean that the back pressure metric is correlating with the rate of fire because their silencer had a higher back pressure metric and the rate of fire was higher. So that makes sense, right? Okay, that means that shows correlation. Now, but another thing, what else does it mean? It means that for some hosts, the back pressure metric might not matter that much. It depends on the host. Maybe you need to increase the back pressure a lot to make a difference. A lot. Okay? So if you put a 30 caliber silencer on a 5.56 host, you are by default going to get a higher flow rate and therefore lower back pressure than a 5.56 silencer, than a dedicated 5.56 silencer, because the hole in the silencer is bigger than a 5.56 silencer typically. Okay? So if you are only looking at 30 caliber silencers, and you intend to use them on 5.56, just know that the difference in back pressure might not be of the utmost importance to you. Once you get below a certain number, and that number could be high, dude. Like now, if you're using a 30 caliber semi-auto host, is that different? Well, I mean, anecdotal reports indicate probably. But again, I mean, if the host doesn't care, should you care? Look, right now, we know that the back pressure metric scales with the gas system adjustment on semi-auto 5.56, and limited full auto rate of fire testing is indicated. It's indicated it scales with that too. The scaling relationships may be nonlinear, and not only nonlinear, but they may also have relations not yet shown. For example, some kind of volumetric component, maybe a semi-continuous flow rate component for full auto hosts. We don't know yet. We haven't done the testing yet. We don't know. We haven't done all the testing. Now, I wanted to talk about this just as a caution. I put the word preliminary on the back pressure data for a reason. It's not that it might be wrong necessarily. It's that you need to be careful when you use this data, because when something's preliminary, that means it's not proven yet. I mean, it's there, but just because you see a different back pressure metric doesn't mean that you know exactly how your host is going to be impacted and what back pressure you need for your host. Let me read that. Actually, in the review, let me find it. I still have that Hyperion K review up. It's got to be, paragraph. If you look in that Hyperion K review 628, you look at down in section 6.28.2. Let's see. You get to the bulleted list, then you go to figure 7. The fourth paragraph under figure 7 says, fourth paragraph under figure 7. The influence of back pressure characteristics on a silencer's performance on semi-automatic and automatic hosts may depend on the respective metric magnitudes. This is the subject of future Pew Science research. For example, it is postulated that there is a threshold back pressure metric below which adequate semi-automatic weapon function on a typical .556 by 45 millimeter host weapon may be achieved. Whether that threshold is blah, 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 or blah, 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 for example, will depend on the particular host weapon configuration. Recent Pew Science research at the time of this review publication indicates that the back pressure metric threshold is probable for gas-operated 5.56 by 45 small arms. Current research indicates that host weapon component dynamics, AR-15 platform bolt carrier, buffer mass, and gas port size can significantly influence suppressed weapon system performance. Further research is ongoing. Okay? So what I mean by that paragraph that I put in that review very purposefully and very carefully is that your host weapon matters. Okay? As I know more, you will know more. We know that the metric is leading us in the right direction, but we haven't examined all the hosts. Last time I talked about the anecdotal evidence was overwhelming, that indicated that the Salmon S, the Trash Panda, those things have low back pressure. And if you look in the review of the Hyperion K, and we scaled everything to the solid end cap on the Helios, the Trash Panda and the Salmon S, they both had a back pressure metric that were lower by a lot. And people always talk about, oh, it's low back pressure. Okay. And the Salmon K, they say, oh, it's definitely low back pressure. Well, yeah, okay, that's what it says. Okay. And then the Surefire SOCOM 762 RCD, oh, yeah, it's very low. So it's all tracking. But what if you put something that's crazy, like the Helios with a solid end cap that says it has high back pressure related to those silencers? What if you put that on a 5.56 host and you still didn't have a problem with that much gas blowback? Well, does that mean the back pressure metric's wrong? Or does that mean that your host doesn't care? Okay? It might mean that your host doesn't care. Put that same quote-unquote high back pressure silencer on a 308 gas-sensitive semi-auto and see what happens. You know the freaking gas volume of 308 versus 5.56, you know how much different that is? It's different. Why do you think, like when you build an adjustable gas block system for your rifle, you ever like adjusted the gas clicks on a 308 versus a 5.56 with the same gas system length? Yeah, that's a fun time. 308's a lot of gas, my friends. So yeah, these are 30 caliber silencers. They never weren't. Just because something, just because it says back pressure in there doesn't mean that it's for all hosts. Okay, they affect all hosts the same way. Okay, take a silencer on there and put it on your gun, and you tell me what gases you, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, but we need that data if you're gonna dispute it. Okay, and so there haven't been a lot of disputes. It's just that the manufacturer contacted me. They showed me some of their own full auto testing, which was very interesting. We said, gosh, that host may not care about any 30 caliber silencer for that matter. Then you put a 5.56 silencer on it and you gassed yourself out of a job. For example, I got an email today. This reminds me. I got an email today. Actually answered the email right before this evening. The gentleman, he just happened to, I don't know how he heard about Pew Science, but he just happened upon it, and he said to me, "Hey, Jay, I have an AAC, Advanced Armament Corporation M4 2000 5.56 silencer. It's unpleasant to use. There's so high back pressure." On 5.56, I assumed that he meant AR-15. I responded to him. I said, you might want to get a silencer with lower back pressure, and I can tell you that a 30 caliber silencer might help. And I tell you what, if you look at the 30 caliber silencers on pewscience.com right now that we've reviewed for use on your 5.56, don't necessarily be afraid of picking one with the higher back pressure metric, because Your M4 2000 is going to be higher back pressure than all of these things. I mean, have you seen the hole diameter in an M4 2000? Why do you think it's so dang quiet? Oh my God. And granted, that's a really good silencer. It's old, it's out of date, but it was a good silencer for the time. So don't be comparing that to this. I mean, even an Omega. Take a Silencer Co. Omega with a relatively tight bore for a 30 caliber silencer, or so I've been told. I mean, that's going to have lower back pressure than a freaking M4 2000 by a lot, and I don't even have to measure that because the M4 2000 has a way smaller hole. Like that's just like easy to tell you, right? So if the M4 2000 was any good at suppressing sound, which we know it is, and has a small hole, it's going to have higher back pressure, right? I mean, we can't talk too much in generalities, but I mean, unless it has a really big hole, which we know it's smaller than the Omega hole. So yeah, like remember the Hyperion K. Remember that one? We talked about that a little bit ago. It has like a super low back pressure metric, and the hole's kind of big too, but it's not that loud because it's crazy and has aliens in it. And aliens are living inside it. You know, you shoot a Hyperion K or a Helios or a full-size Hyperion. You probably shoot it, and what happens is like the aliens living inside it, and they take the sound, and they're probably living in a different dimension, so time's passing really slow to them. You know what I mean? Because they probably have some kind of like gravity reactor in there. So they're like, what they've done is they've wrapped the gravity up. The higher you get the gravity, you see look. Here's the thing with gravity: the higher the mass, the slower the time. You see, and so what's happening is you shoot the gun. The aliens inside the Hyperion, they use their gravity reactor to slow time down, and they package up the sound and pressure into more easily adjustable packets to distribute to you in a different type of data stream. They go ahead, they turn off their gravity reactor, and the packets leave the silencer at a different rate, thus making the system quieter. See, there you go. Just told you all the secrets. That's all you need to know. Okay. We do need to test OSS, and we need to do it soon because I know people have been waiting. Oh my God, I cannot wait. I feel like once I test an OSS 762 silencer on 20-inch bolt action 308, and you know what? I'm tempted to test it like 4 times just to make sure the back pressure metric is what it is. I feel like when I get that, we will know. I mean, we're not going to know definitively about everything yet, but when I get that, I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, now someone can take an OSS silencer. They can say, oh, my OSS silencer is so great. It has such low back pressure on my host, which I've heard like 100,000 people say, it seems like. That'll be great, because what if we get a back pressure metric that's like the same as like another one we've already tested, and then so-and-so can go visit so-and-so that has the OSS silencer and be like, oh, hey, bro, can I put my silencer on your gun? And then if like it's the same, then they'll be like, oh, the back pressure metric's right. Or maybe it'll be wrong, and the back pressure metric is actually not the back pressure metric, and it's a different metric, and it turns out it needs to scale differently. I don't know. I think it's right though. So we're going to find out. I say soon, but it's not going to happen right now. But we are going to get some of the test. That's exciting. Believe me, I am excited. I know you're excited, but I am excited too. We also need to evaluate cyclic rate on full auto and bolt velocity, but okay. All right, that's topic 3. We are at a time of 1 hour and 29 minutes and 8 seconds. Okay, topic 4, new sound signature review this week. Okay, I haven't written it yet. I have an idea. So I'm going to get it going. I'm going to get it going for you. I think it's going to be good. I'm thinking subsonic. I'm thinking something good. I'm thinking it. I'm thinking subsonic. I haven't decided 100% when I'm gonna write for you and release for you, but I'm gonna do it. And I really do want to start pushing some of that data to you, even though I still have supersonic data for you too. A lot of supersonic data, but I have a lot of subsonic data. I'm like, oh, we cannot get too lopsided. We need to cover both regimes so you can get a good smattering of understanding. And so I can get a good smattering of understanding, and it'll force me to look at some more parameters. So that'll be good. Buckle up for that, because I think I've decided just now what I'm going to do. I think the review is going to be good. I think it's going to be useful for you. I think it's going to be useful for the industry. I think it's going to be good to tie some things together. So it's going to be great. I'm excited about it. Yeah, let's get excited about that one. That'll be good. Okay. All right. 1 hour, 30 minutes and 27 seconds. Yeah. Okay. Topic 5, welcome. Welcome to new Pew Science members, and thank you for your support. All you folks that recently joined, man, there were a few of you. God, that's so freaking awesome. Over the holidays. You know, I responded to some of you guys over the holidays on a Sunday. Well, not the holidays. I didn't do any of that, but like on Sunday, right before the week got started, I said, hey, thank you. Some of you responded, oh, I didn't expect to receive a response on a holiday weekend, I said. I didn't expect to respond to you. Sometimes I have time, and I do. Usually I wait till the weekdays. If you get a response from me on the weekend, that's not typical, but sometimes I do. I think I hit all of you today, too, or this week. I've been getting a lot of questions from the public lately, which has been cool. Like non-members, just people reaching out. I've noticed a slight trend. I haven't checked the analytics 100%, but I know that we're getting more organic traffic, meaning that instead of like referrals or like direct from social media or whatever, it's like we have significant traffic now from like just people finding it on Google type of thing, which is cool. Like that's hard to do, and I've been trying to do that just by staying focused and working hard. So that's been great. So I've been happy with that. Even a guy, Recoil you guys ever seen Recoil Magazine? You guys heard of them? They contacted me. So I'm going to talk to them. Maybe, I think they want to talk about silencers, so that's cool. If you're listening, sir, Mr. Recoil Man, I'm sorry. I've been so dang busy. I'm going to call you this week, I promise. I'll shoot you an email or something, shoot you a text, and we'll get that going. Sorry for the delay, sir. It's just I was going to do it today. It's been too busy. I want to give you the time you deserve. Don't want to rush it. Now, I tell you what, the silencer industry is taking note, I think. We're definitely helping folks understand silencer sound in the least, and complete suppressed weapon system characterization in the best case. But I don't think we're there yet. I think sound is getting good. It is Tuesday, and 4 people have already told me that they use my data to make an informed purchase decision for their use case. How incredible is that? It's Tuesday, and 4 people have already contacted me directly saying, hey, Jay, thanks for the data. I used it to do XYZ. And I said, well, that's, first of all, thank you. Thank you for looking at the data. Second of all, I'm glad I could help. That's super cool, man. Totally the goal here. So that's neat. Okay. So stay safe out there, guys. Stay tuned for the next review. It will come this week. It will be nice for you. It'll be useful, topical, actionable, timely. Have a good one. I'll talk to you again soon. I promise.